just to, get to the top of the sport.
Frank Martin, man down.
I just had a passion for it when I first started. I knew what I would put into it.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and today we're going to be going over some statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning the GOAT, Frank Martin. Before we get into that, let's talk about some facts that have been brought to light over the last few weeks. June 15th is a date that both Frank Martin, Tank Davis, and Leonard Ellaby have been tweeting about, in which there will be a lightweight title on the line between the aforementioned Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis. So today I want to break down Frank Martin's resume, specifically his last 10 fights. I want to talk about his career win-loss record against his opponents. So basically, how strong is his strength of schedule? What sort of fighters has he been fighting? And what is their winning percentage based on the night that they fought Frank? Before we get into those statistics, let's talk about some of the more well-known stats when referencing Martin. He is 18-0. He's undefeated with 12 knockouts. That gives the GOAT a 67% knockout to win ratio. Martin is the number 4 ranked lightweight in the world. That title will be on the line on June 15th when he takes on Gervonta Davis. Frank is 29 years old. He's a slick southpaw. His fans call him the GOAT. He stands at 5'8", and he does have a 68-inch reach. Guys, we are going to break down his last 10 opponents, starting with Ventus 10 fights ago and going up to Harutyanyan, his last fight. What we're going to do is add up his opponents' win-loss records on the night that they fought Frank. We're going to break down his total undefeated fighters he's fought and his total record with his knockout to win ratio, and add all that up to get his strength of schedule. To be clear, just so you know if you're new to these videos, the night he fought Perez was undefeated. He was 13-0. After Frank knocked him out, Perez was then 13-1. So when we're adding these numbers up, the tally would go Perez 13-0. Just so you know, it's on the night that they fought Frank. If we reverse all the way back to 10 fights ago, he fought Ventus. Ventus was 9-12, UD in the 6th. He fought Kupal, 10-29, knockout in the 2nd. Yanong, 10-4, knockout in the 4th. Lucky, 12-12, knockout in the 5th. Perez, 13-0, knockout in the 7th. Kilcheski, 30-5, UD in the 10th. Duno, 24-2, knockout in the 4th. Marinez, 19-2, knockout in the 10th. Rivera, 24-0, UD 12. And then Harutyanyan, 12-0, UD 12. When we add all these records up, guys, we're going to get a career win-loss record from his opponents at 173-66. That is a 72% strength of schedule. Frank, over his last 10, has gone 10-0 with 6 knockouts, and he has beaten 3 undefeated fighters. His strength of schedule is one of the lowest of the last, we'll say, 15 fighters we've done. A lot of times these guys are averaging between 90 and 95% win-loss. But the one thing we have to talk about, the stats, Frank only has 18 career fights. So when we go 10 fights ago, that was his 8th fight. And look at their career records. Ventus was 9-12. Kupal was 10-29. Those there are 32 of the losses out of the 66. And this makes sense, guys, because Frank, even though he's 29 years old, he's still a young pro when it comes to career win-loss record, and he's still getting those fights under his belt to get more seasoned. And when you see fighters climbing the ranks, working their way to a title, they're going to be paired up with fighters with, especially early in their career, average records. If you go all the way back to Frank's first fight, the career records of his guys he was fighting: 0-3, 2-6, 0-1, debut 1-6, and that's very common. And then look at his last few fights: 12-0, 24-0, 19-2, 24-2. And this is just a sign, and it's why we do these videos, because as the fighter wins, they get better and better farther off in their career. they're going to be fighting the best guys in the world. And it literally is a litmus test of how you measure a guy's career when you match them up with a guy. So no doubt in anyone's mind, this Gervonta Davis fight going down in June will be the biggest test of Frank Martin's career. And we will get to see what he's made of against Tank, because the one thing we do know about Gervonta is he's going to bring the fight. When I look back at Frank's last 10, a fight that jumps out on the paper for me is 3 fights ago, the Marinez fight. Marinez was 19-2 going into that fight. Frank got him out of there in the 10th via knockout. But I want to talk about this fight a little bit more, and it's always one of these matches that I like when you see a guy carry his power late into the fight and still be able to get somebody out there. So let's look at this Marinez fight a little bit closer. When we talk about fighters on the ascent and boxers who become champions, there's always moments in their career where they're forced to be the nail and not just the hammer. And a lot of times you really get to see what a guy is made of when he has to come back and flip the script. Anyone could do good when they're winning. It's when you're down on the cards, are you able to turn it around? And Frank Martin faced Jackson Marinez as a late replacement fight, and he got a lot of resistance, and he was early on in that fight, wasn't doing too well, trying to figure Marinez out, who came in there with a good 19-2 record, and it was going back and forth for a while. And then you started seeing Martin's work ethic exploit Marinez. You started to see his conditioning one-up Marinez. And then by the 8th and 9th round, Martin was figuring him out. And then finally he got him out of there and knocks him out. And that shows a few things. That shows a guy's grit, his heart, his preparation, but more importantly, fight IQ, in a sense of trusting one's game plan enough to still stick with the plan that your coaching staff has put forth upon you, and trusting them enough to keep working on it. And then sure enough, this worked out for Martin. He got Marinez out there in the 10th. Going into this fight with Gervonta Davis this June, I haven't seen the odds yet, but I can assume Frank is going to be a big underdog. I feel this fight will help him in the moments of the fight against Tank when he's going to start doubting himself, and he'll be able to pull from this and know that he's done it before and he'll have to do it again. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not going to give you a prediction. I'm asking for yours, though. Leave it in the comment section below. Who you like, Frank or Tank? And then also, if you want me to break down one of your favorite fights, one of your favorite fighters, and talk about the statistics, let me know all that in the comment section below.